Hey, real estate rock stars. This is Christina Leavenworth, and you are in for a treat today. Today, we are talking to Rayni Williams out of Beverly Hills, who has worked with so many celebrities, but still so incredibly humble, talking and giving us very actionable tips on how to get into luxury, how you can do that today. I can't wait for you to hear this interview. All right, without further ado, I am joined with Rayni Williams out of Beverly Hills. And the stories she has been telling me as we've been getting ready for this, it's honestly out of a TV show. It is insane. So I'm really excited for you to hear her experience and just how they do things differently. How are you, Rayni?
Really good. How are you?
Good, good. We always like to start this just with the basics to kind of know where you came from. So, talk a little bit about your journey into real estate, how long you've been into it, all that fun.
Okay, great. Well, I grew up on the East Coast and I had a real estate family, have a real estate family. My grandfather was actually a bricklayer from Parma, Italy. And that was his trade. So he started developing. Then he had a lot of children. So he put all his boys to work and they all became developers. And I watched that process happen. And I was always a part of because I spent a lot of time with my grandparents. My grandmother, also from Italy, ended up taking their big home that my developer grandfather built for all these eight. She had eight children, and when all the children moved out, she had this really big home, and she turned it into a convalescence home. But it was like an old folks home, and then opened up multiple businesses of these they called them personal care homes, but they were like convalescent. So I grew up with the convalescent homes and the development of real estate. And I grew up with like just a really strong woman example. And also I was very close to my uncles and my grandfather, and I would drive around to construction sites and see commercial and multifamily and brownstones and, traditional bricks, like all the East Coast beauty. And um, it wasn't something that I loved or cared about. Even really, I loved the old folks in the home, and I loved to create events for them. And I would, like, at 10 years old, I started working there, and I would create, like, I would bring in rabbis and priests, and I would perm their hair with the solution and the cotton balls, and I would do their nails. And I just loved the old people. And what I loved about them was talking to them and hearing their stories and asking them their life experience and asking them and I had a tape recorder, and I would tape record them. This was in the 90s. And so, there wasn't iPhones or anything. And so I would tape record, and I decided, I was like, I just love people so much. Like, I really want to be a journalist. I loved the art of speaking and communicating. But what I loved the most was connecting with people. So again, real estate background, now loving the people. I worked at this personal care home with my Nona until I went off to college. And then I went to college in the Midwest. And then after I studied journalism. A few years during the college, I lived in Italy, and I went to university in Italy where my family was from. My dad's also, I'm full-blooded Italian. My dad's from Italy as well. And so then it was fun for me to get the culture. I wasn't thinking about real estate. I was really thinking about journalism. Graduate from college, and I come to visit Los Angeles. And I've pretty much lived and traveled a lot of the world. And I'm young. I'm 21, about to be 21. And I come here to visit, and I never saw or felt a connection to a city. I loved the smell of the flowers, the jasmine, the hibiscus. I loved that people were walking around. This was in 2001. And so, or 2002, something like that. And so I came here, and I wanted to be a journalist, and I was going to be a journalist no matter what. I was going to be a sports agent. I was going to be on E News. I didn't know. I had no plan. I had no connection. I had a few interns in college that they tell you as a journalist, you're going to go to like a small market. You go to like Idaho and work your way up. And I just went with no plan to LA. And I struggled for probably 2 or 3 years. My family was like, listen, real estate through and through. You should get into real estate and make your life easier, because we're not going to keep helping you. Like, you need to figure it out. And I said, no, I don't want to do that. So I got into mortgages. Now, Christina, I don't know if I know you remember because you're in the business, like the subprime. What year was that?
Mhm.
It
2008.
this what was it?
Well, it's
Was
when
it
it
eight?
went down was 2008, but they started doing all that like
Wh-
2005.
When it was hot, I
Yeah.
got in and I was young and I was like 23, okay, and I was the only girl. And I walk into this office and my manager, it's like the movie Boiler Room. My manager literally gives me a stack of leads and is like, call these people, and is like, um, you know, get the, get their social security number, get them a loan, and sell them this product. And I was just like, okay. I'm like so naive. And because with a woman's voice, I feel like we get in a little easier. And I literally got in the door, like would get people engaged and get their social security number. And I would sell them these loans over the phone. And I didn't even know what I was doing, but I was killing it. I would have like, they would have boards and I would have my name on the board. And I went from literally struggling and working as a journalist per word, getting a few dollars per word, waitressing, like working 3 jobs to try to be this journalist that was my heart's desire, to now making a really nice living. All the boys in my office, they were young guys. They were all driving Bentleys and they were like all around Beverly Hills. And I was literally the only girl. And so I am killing it in lending, but I don't really know what I'm doing. And now I'm feeling like robotic. And I remember I said to the manager, like, what happens if this rate adjusts? He goes, don't worry about it, Rainey. It's not going to adjust, like whatever. And so cut to my conscience like was really nagging at me. And I was like, this doesn't feel right. I had my real estate license because my manager at the firm, at the real estate office, who still to this day I see around town, and he takes credit for my career. He's like, I made you. He said, get your real estate license while you do lending because it just goes together and whatever. So I got my license and I'm doing the lending. And I said, I don't want to do this. I was telling these people on the phone, take a home equity line of credit, go to Aruba. I don't even know like why I said Aruba. I think my manager probably told me to say this. So I was these people were like on adjustable. They were on fixed income, some of them. So I remember my last day, I called this woman and I said, if you were my grandmother, I wouldn't want you in this. I don't want you in this. You have to cancel the loan. I'm not allowed. Please cancel. And I left. I quit the job and I went to a real estate firm called Normand and Associates, which is owned by a husband and wife in Beverly Hills, and it's on Beverly Drive. It was right down from my apartment, and it was quaint and cute. And Myra Normand was the owner and the female head, and she and her husband Saeed Normand. And I had a cubicle and a great manager, Libby Shapiro, who became like a second mom to me. And I just started doing real estate, and it went back to my days of being a 10-year-old activities director, as I coined myself, at the personal care home of my grandmother's. I like people. Like I don't want to hurt people. I only want to help them. I want to help them build their dreams and I want to connect with them. And I think that is the sweetest part of life, is connecting with people more than anything. And so when I got out of that boiler room that I was in countrywide, I literally went to this great office where I struggled a lot for like the first 6 months, especially. But I got to meet people, meet personalities, talk to people. And that was my journey. That's how I got started in real estate.
Well, that was the worst time. So then, yeah, you're selling all these loans and it's about to crash. So talk about, getting in, what worked, and also you're not from that area. You didn't grow up with these kids. And I'm
Very astute of you. Thank you for saying that, because I don't know if you grew up where you work or not, but
I did
no,
not,
it's
but
it's it's like pushing water uphill because you don't know anybody the way that other agents in my office that grew up there or had been there a long time. You just don't know people, so you're literally like meeting people on the street. Everything's a cold call. So okay, so that thank you for reminding me of how hard it was. I didn't know a lot of people. I'd only been in Los Angeles a few years and I was young. So I think I was like 24. And a lot of my agents now are 24. They're like when I started, and I tell them like, exactly what I did. And what I did was, and I don't know if this is apropos to times now, like not that I'm so old, but like I don't know that people do this anymore, but I dress the part. I wanted to do high end. So I wore high-end clothes. Even if I couldn't afford them, I would have a Chanel jacket and I always tell this story like to my agents, like, if you want to sell high-end real estate, you want to sell a $20 million house, you want to sell a $50 million house, you have to look like a $50 million house. You can't look like your young, cute age. Wear that on the weekends, wear that on a date, wear that to the club, but don't wear that if you're trying to attract. So my Italian grandmother always told me, dress the part, dress for the part that you want, act better than you feel, so step into the part, step into the role, be the boss that you want to be. And I still to this day get dressed up. So I would dress up, I would mix the highs and the lows. I'd mix a Chanel jacket that maybe my grandmother gave me with, some Zara skirt or something, but I always had my heels on. I was ready to go. I looked like a professional. And I think now, I don't know about where you are, but here it's gotten more casual and it's gotten younger. I think because of the TV shows and stuff like that, like it became glamorized to be a realtor. When I got in the business, I was the youngest person. So it was mostly, and it was like a housewife's kind of like grandmother's kind of job. And then there came in LA anyway, it came to like there was a boys club, and the boys club was like these agent type, like Hollywood agent, cool guys who coined the like button down shirt with jeans. And they were all at West Side Estate Agency, and they were like a pack, and they were cool. And they did like the Hollywood, really great, gorgeous homes. And so that was the boys club. And then there was the like women's club of, the older women. And then there was like me and maybe a few other young agents, not very many. So I always just tried to, step into that role early on. And I knew I wanted to go into luxury because I was like, I can sell a condo for $1 million, or I could sell, back then there weren't many 20, $30 million houses, but there were a lot of tens. I'm like, I can sell a 10 for the same amount of effort. And it's going to be better looking. It's going to be more fun to sell. I'm going to connect with it. And then early on, I decided I only want to sell what I love, because I had that bad experience in lending where I was selling a product that was hurtful and it wasn't connecting to me. And so I really wanted to sell something that I felt that I was being honest about.
Yeah, I think dressing the part is still apropos for today. I think getting up, showing up, working like a job, putting in the time, dressing professional. I think that's still 100%. When we go on listing appointments, we bring a resume because we're interviewing for a job, and that's what you do. So, you have sold a lot of homes to a lot of A-list celebrities, which is crazy. And I think probably your market in New York are probably the only ones that relate to that. Are they any different than regular people? How is it how's the transaction with them?
They're no different than regular people. They are regular people. They have personalities, they have quirks, they have hangups, triggers. They just maybe have more business managers, more attorneys, but a lot of wealthy people have that too. And a lot of them are so great, honestly. Like a lot of them are so great that you fall in love with them, and you're like, I'm so lucky to get to work with you, because some of them are the most gracious people I've ever worked with.
Mm. Are a
And
lot
you
of NDAs
become friends
signed and
with them.
everything ahead of time?
What?
You have to sign NDAs and everything ahead of time?
It depends. Like usually you don't have to sign the NDA until you start transacting. So in the paperwork, sometimes they'll make you. I mean, I've had some that I've gone to their house, like really, really big ones, and they ask you to sign when you go to their house. But it's such the days of like the old Hollywood starlet, and you go to their house and you sign the NDAs. Like now, because everything's so open, and once paparazzi became a thing like 20 some years ago, like everything is sort of like fishbowly. And so I think if you just, what I try to do is I treat all my clients the same. I treat all my clients like celebrities. I protect all of them, their anonymity. I keep them under the radar as much as they want to be. Sometimes every now and then, I don't know if you get this, but I'll get clients that want it to be publicized. And maybe there's a reason for it. Like it could be strategic for a business play or something, or a philanthropy. I don't know. There's reasons for it. But if somebody wants to go public, I'm like, sure, no problem. But that's far and few between. Most people, even normal people, want to be under the radar because safety and security and
Yep.
um,
So, back when you first started, you're one of the only people wearing heels, dressing the part. Now, because of all the shows out there, I'm sure every new agent in LA has on the Christian Louboutins, and they're dressing the part. So, how do you stand out today?
well, kind of what I was saying about that is though, there's like dressing the part and there's dressing up, but it's not often professional. Like some of these, sometimes like the show portrays,
Or
and I don't watch
looking kind of skimpy type of
yeah, and
stuff.
I don't watch any of those shows. I don't watch reality TV at all. I
Mm.
don't believe in it. I don't let my kids watch it. I just think it's like mush for your brain, but good for them if they can brand themselves and capitalize on it. I don't judge people. I just personally wouldn't do it. And I can't watch anytime I've tried to watch reality TV, like the Housewives when it first came out. I was young and single and I would like put it on sometimes and I would feel so badly about myself. I'm like, I can't believe I just wasted an hour. I'll watch a documentary, I'll read a book, I'll read something, but like I can't that. So only time I've ever seen these real estate reality shows is like clips and things, and I see what they're wearing, and I'm like, I don't know. It's just I if I'm a wife buying a house, I don't want that girl showing
100%.
me showing my husband a house. like I,
100%. And we talk about that here too, because in every market you have that with people wearing crop tops and, things are hanging out. And it's like, I can't imagine any wife being okay with that, especially sometimes when you have to meet separately. I'm with you there. I think there's, yeah, ways you can be beautiful without showing it all off.
I agree. Like I just think there's so many ways of wearing like a beautiful suit and like I have a satin skirt on that's like it's hot right now. Like a satin blouse. It's like not full. It's a little sheer, but it's like great. You don't have to show. I just don't think that it's the forum where you want to make the wife or the girlfriend feel anything less than the queen of the house because there's always a woman with when you're showing these men property there's always a woman whether it's a girlfriend or a fiance or something and you as a woman you have to cater to them and as a man you have to cater to the man and the duality of Brandon and I has been that and sometimes the woman will prefer Brandon because they like his energy and a lot of times the husbands will like me because maybe they'll like my I don't know my kind of the detail oriented nature because sometimes men and women opposites will attract and the woman maybe is detail oriented and she likes Brandon's like aggressive sales technique or he has a great vision and he's creative and maybe they thrive off of that but whatever the case may be I just think you have to start out neutral you have to read your client and it's really important, I think, for you as an agent to be the most professional conduit to what they need. So I was on a panel with Jade Mills, um, who was someone that I looked up to when I got in the business. Tracy Tudor, I think it was a women's panel. I can't remember who else was on it. And Jade Mills said, um, something like this. She goes, dress the part. And like ladies, like young girls out there, like, dress the part or something. She was here and then Tracy, then me. And I was gonna, by the time it got to me, I was gonna be like, and I concur. And Tracy was like, no. She's like, you do what you want to do. You do how, you see fit. Like, I don't agree with that. Don't ever try to fit yourself into a box. Be you, ladies. And listen, there's that too. My personal philosophy is be like water,
Be, flexible and
neutral, flexible, fluid, and know your audience and don't make people feel uncomfortable in any way. Just like walking into a house, like I don't ever walk into a house and be like, oh my God, they this like bring the energy when the energy is called for, but let them walk in and have their own experience. Because so often you could walk into a house and be like, if you rip out this window and you open this up, imagine. And the buyer is thinking, like, oh my God, I love this moment right here. And you just completely went off on your own tangent about what you feel. And I
Yeah,
think I tell my
absolutely.
agents all the time, is like, this is not about you.
Yeah. It's not about you. So when you were 24, fresh in LA, fresh in Beverly Hills, you wanted those $10 million homes. Don't we all? You're dressing the part, but was there something specific you did to get that first one? Or do you think it was more luck? Um, Anything actionable that our audience could go, hey, this is how I get into luxury?
Here's how you get into luxury. You see luxury, you live luxury, and you become luxury, and then you attract. So, for instance, I'm living in my little apartment in South Beverly Hills with, like, you know, have a few fancy jackets and, a Chanel bag and something, whatever my grandmother gave me. I'm struggling. I'm doing the best I can. I have a couch and a TV. But guess what? I go to every art museum. I go to I read every Wall Street Journal. I read every Bloomberg. I read every piece of news that pertains to business, sports, or worldly events. I can talk to anybody. I might be young, but I'm educated. I might be brokish, but I'm cultured, and I'm luxury. I might not be able to afford all of the things yet, but I have taste for it. So instead of like shopping at Ralph's across the street, when I'm in my work clothes, I'm going to go to, back then they didn't have it. Well, we did have Air One, but it was on, I was in a different location, but I would always like go across the street to Bristol Farms to get something in my suit. Why? Because that's where the more sophisticated people went, or where I could run into them. And yeah, if I don't want to spend $100 on a meal every night, but I want to meet a girlfriend, I go to the elevated places and just share an appetizer or something like that. That you have to strategically position yourself where the taste and the style and the wealth, where all of that is. And you have to give up the clubs and the parties and the lower level things that are fun. And maybe when you're young and like that's more age appropriate, great, do that every now and then for like a friend's birthday, but really live luxury. And if you're going to, you know, take a trip or do something, or you don't really have the funds to do it, then take the road trip to Montecito and go see where Oprah lives, or go see. So, because the wealthy are all interconnected and they all know and do and travel in the same packs and go to the same places. So, even if you're just reading about it, you can enrich yourself. And then go, most importantly, this is the kicker of all kickers. If you want to sell luxury real estate, you have to see luxury real estate. And in Los Angeles, I don't know if your market does this, we do brokers opens, caravan, they call it. You have caravan? So every Tuesday from 11 to 2, you get a free look at a property as a young agent that you'd probably never, ever get to step foot in. So when I was a young agent, and I still to this day look at properties, if there were 14 things open, and probably there were 40 from, Malibu to Los Feliz or whatever, I would put some snacks in the car and I would go as far west as I could and then come back, hit east, and then make it back to my office meeting in Beverly Hills every single Tuesday. So the way that I actually took that and made it into reality was I had a Rolodex of all the things, dreams. One day I'm going to live there. One day I'm going to sell that. One day, one day, one day. Or one day I'm going to bump into somebody at a restaurant and I'm going to hear them talking. And this is what happened. I was at the Beverly Hills Hotel having lunch with a friend who is visiting from Egypt, because why not, if we're going to have lunch, go to the Polo Lounge where we can run into major hitters. So I'm having lunch with this guy and I'm with Brandon, and I hear this guy talk about this house. And I was like, he's talking about a house that I knew about. And turns out it was Johnny Halliday, who was like the Elvis of France. And he had,
Yes, my husband's French. So I've heard
oh,
about this guy a lot. Yes, yes.
so Johnny Holiday was like our claim to fame, like our breakthrough, like our first $5.7 million deal. He's at the Polo Lounge. He's actually at the Beverly Hills Hotel pool, which is like, there's the Polo Lounge upstairs and then the pool. And it was summertime. So he was at the pool with like a bodyguard, like this buff guy, his beautiful wife, Leticia, who he was with till he passed. And he had two Mandarin children. and a nanny or something like this. And I didn't know who he was at that time. I think I was 23 or 24. I didn't even know who Johnny Holiday was. And but I hear him talking. So then we go over to him and we're like, "Oh, we heard you talking about this property on Beverly Glen, in that little gated community. If you like that, have you ever seen this?" Why? Because we went out and looked at every property. So I worked it backwards. I didn't have clients when I started, but I had a Rolodex of houses so that any restaurant that I was at, and these were again where I was frequenting, because that's what you got to do. You have to be it to sell it. You have to know it to sell it. So he goes, "You're kidding." He goes, "I just missed out on that property in a multiple offer." I go, "Well, what are you guys doing now? Like after lunch, do you want to go see it?" He goes, "Yes." Next thing I know, 20 minutes later, Brandon and I are in his bungalow upstairs at the Beverly Hills Hotel on our laptop, which we had in our car. We pulled up, we're like, "Look at this." 30 minutes after that, they follow us in with their driver and security guard up to the property. I still don't even know who he is. I can tell he's somebody because he has a bodyguard, a nanny, and a model for a wife and two mandarin children. But I'm like, I don't know who he is. And I didn't want to ask because I knew he was somebody and I didn't want to be a loser for not knowing. And we go into the house. He leans back, he lights a cigarette, and takes there's like a vase or like a bowl and the thing, and he starts ashing in it. He's like, shut it down. I'm like, excuse me? He's like, shut it down. I take it. I'm like, you want me to shut it down? He's like, take it. I take it. I buy it. I'm like, okay. He doesn't want to negotiate. I'm like, well, let's come in a little bit lower. What about maybe we offer 5 points? He goes, no. He lost the other one. He didn't want to lose this. So now we go to write the offer. Imagine, like with win forms and all the electronic things we do, I'm pen and papering. I'm shaking. He's like, and I'm like, so what name are we putting in it? He's like, Johnny Holiday. I'm like, Johnny Holiday. I'm like, fuck, how do I spell Johnny Holiday? And I like still don't even know I'm sitting with a rock god. Like it was insane. And so that was and then once you do that, you get a little taste of like, I can do this. You're in.
And that's a big part of it. Well, I love that, Rainey. That like what a great story. Just hearing about really having to do the reps, like going to that tour of homes week after week, knowing the homes. So many times agents think it's a waste of time, and it isn't. It's learning your community, it's learning the homes. I think that's awesome. And then just being a true professional, dressing the part. Before we like log off, I mean, we've walked through this half hour really fast. How can people find you?
Instagram, right? Is that the thing?
Yeah, sure. Wherever you want them to.
um, at my name, at Rainey Romito Williams, or at the Beverly Hills Estates, which is the company. And I also have at Williams, AND spelled out, and Williams and Williams. Williams and Williams again is Brandon and I. The Beverly Hills Estates is my company, and we have like about 140 agents here. So we have a lot of eclectic properties on there that you can see. Williams and Williams is more the luxury division of Brandon and I, and then my personal, which is not that interesting, but that's at Rainey Romito Williams. And
Well,
I'm
this
going to
has
follow
been
you too. Where do I find you?
this is Christina Leavenworth, and I'll follow you so we can connect. Well, thank you so much. It has been so much fun, and if anyone's wanting to get into luxury, they know the girl to call.
Thank you so much. It's so great to be with you today. Thanks.